Welcome back to the Walnut. Well, we were dealing with the clocks last time, the video number 1 on clocks. We have looked at what is the angle between two hands of the clock at a particular time. For example, what's the angle between two hands of the clock at 2:40 a.m. or p.m. It doesn't matter, because you know what? If it's a 12-hour clock at 2:40 a.m. or 2:40 p.m., the two hands of the clock would be exactly the same, right? It doesn't make any difference. So let's take a look at it. So better, we can go for the formula. Theta is equal to modulus of 11 by 2 m minus 30 h. That's a formula, right? And what is m and h here? M means what? Minutes, 40 minutes. And h means hours, 2 hours. So let's apply the formula. 11 by 2, m is what? 40 minutes, and 30h minus 30 into h. H means what? 2, right? So that's inside the modular sign. So what do you have? 40 by 2, it's 20. 11 into 2, it's 220. 220 minus 60. What is that? 220 minus 60. 220 minus 20 minus 40. That is 160, correct? So the answer is going to be 160 degrees. Now we have the second type of questions, a little more challenging questions from this area. You will have the angle given. In this case, we need to find the angle. So next case, what? The angle is given, you need to find the exact time. For example, what is the exact time between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock when the two hands of the clock make an angle of 90 degrees? Or two hands of the clock are perpendicular to each other. Let's take a look at that question. So what is the exact time between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock? So time is between 4 and 5. Well, the two hands of the clock makes an angle of 90 degrees, perpendicular to each other. So, well, theta must be 90. Theta is equal to 90 degrees. Time is between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. We need to find the exact time. So, we need to find how many minutes after 4. So, it is between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So, it would be 4 hours, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 19 minutes, whatever it is. So, the h is what? H is 4. So you look at the formula here. What we have? 3 times theta, m and h, 3 variables. Here we have theta given, h is given as well. So we need to find what? M. And well, if it is between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, well, let's take a look at here. The hour hand is between 4 and 5. Between 4 and 5. And the minute hand, it must make an angle of what? 90 degrees. So the minute hand must be this way. This is 90 degrees, correct? At the same time, we know that there is another possibility. What is it? The hour hand is here, somewhere here. Still it is between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And the minute hand is somewhere here. This area. So minute hand. See that? Minute hand is here. So still that makes an angle of what? 90 degrees. So there are 2 points. Between 4 and 5, the two hands of the clock make an angle of 90 degrees, or they are perpendicular to each other. We need to find the exact time. So how do we find it? What we know is the formula here. So let's apply the formula. How do we do it? Theta is equal to 11 by 2m minus 30h. That's just one formula. So, but we have 2 different times here. What we do, in order to deal with this formula, in order to do the calculation with this formula, we need to take away this modular sign. We multiply this formula with plus 1 and the minus 1. That's the mathematical way of removing this modular sign, right? So, well, theta is equal to 11 by 2m minus 30h. If you multiply this formula with 1, so that you'll get the exact same formula, no change. The next part, we multiply the same formula with minus 1. So that means the formula will look like theta is equal to 30h minus 11 by 2m. So these are the two possibilities. Now it's pretty simple. We need to apply this. What theta is equal to 90 and h is equal to 4. Then what do you get? M. M means exact minutes after 4, where the two hands of the clock make an angle of what? 90 degrees. That's it. Alright, so let's try. Theta is equal to 90. So 90 degrees equal to 11 by 2 m. M is something we need to find out. We have no idea what's m. Minus 30 into h. So time is between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. It must be after 4 hours, right? So h is equal to 4. Now solve it. 30 into 4, that is 120. 120, that's negative. We'll take it to the other side. So 120 plus this 90. So 120 goes to the other side. So 120 plus 90. 120 plus 90 is what? 120 plus 80 is 200. 120 plus 90 is 210. So what we get here, it is 210. And 11 by 2, this is what? 11 by 2m. Right, now we need to cross multiply with this 2, right? So, well, 210 into 2, that is 420. 420 by 11. So, m is equal to, cross multiply with this 2 first. So, that's 420. And now we have to divide by that 11. So, 420 by 11. That's a m. So, how do we calculate it? Either you can, you can do the calculation. So, something like this. 420 divided by 11. So 42. 11 how many times? 3 times. 33. And what's the balance? 9. So 90. How many times? 90. 11. 8 times. So 38. So this is 88. So remainder is 2. So ultimately what do you get? 38 minutes and remainder is 2. So 38 and 2 by 11 minutes. So 38 and 2 by 11 minutes past 4. Or you may write it as what? 4 hours. After 4 hours, we have what? 38 and 2 by 11 minutes. So that is where the two hands of the clock are at an angle of 90 degrees or perpendicular. So this is what? This is 35 and this is 38 and 2 by 11, right? So it seems perfectly alright. Now we need one more. That means at this point it makes the same 90 degree, right? Perpendicular to each other. So we need to find it from the second formula. What is it? Theta. Same theta, right? 90. 90 degrees equal to 30 into h. H means what? 4 minus 11 by 2m. So this case, how do you do the calculations? 30 into 4, 120, right? And 120 is positive. And the 90 will take it to the right side. So it's going to be plus 90, goes to the other side, it's minus 90. So it's 120 minus 90. 120 minus 90, what do you have? 30, right? So this is 30. So 11 by 2. 11 by 2 is negative, so we'll take it to the other side. 11 by 2m. So 11 by 2m is equal to 30. So, well, cross multiply with the 2. So 30 becomes 60. And divide that with 11. So m is equal to 30 into 2, 60 by 11. So that is equal to what? 60 by 11 means it is 5 times. 5 into 11 is 55. So 5 times. And what is the remainder? 11 into 5, 55. This is 60. Remainder is 5. So 5 and 5 by 11 minutes past 4. Or you may write it as what? 4 hours, 5 and 5 by 11 minutes. So ultimately, let's look at it. So it is going to be 5 and 5 by 11 minutes. It is after 4 or 5. So it is between what? 1 and 2. That's correct. So we have 2 points between 4 and 5 where the two hands of the clock make an angle of 90 degree or they are perpendicular to each other. One point, it's 38 and 2 by 11 minutes past 4. That means 4 hours, 38 and 2 by 11 minutes. And second possibility, it's 4 hours, 5 and 5 by 11 minutes. So ultimately, there are two different possibilities. Here you have to be really aware of one thing. Any angle other than 0 and 180 degree, it would be 2 times between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, or between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So that means in 60 minutes it happens what? 2 times. But if it is 0 degree, that means 2 hands of the clock are together. Or if it is 180 degree, the 2 hands of the clock are opposite to each other. That happens only once in 65 and 5 by 11 minutes. Right? So in like between 4 and 5, between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, this is just 60 minutes, 1 hour. So that case, the 2 hands of the clock are together, 0 degree happens only once, and well, 180 degree, they are opposite to each other, that happens only once. But any other angle, if it is not 0, if it is not 180, in this case it is 90, it happens what? 2 times. Now, the next type of questions from clocks, that's one of the favorite of exams, the reflection type questions. Reflection, for example, a tower clock. Let's say a clock in the collectorate or any civil station building. That will be a tower clock, right? The reflection of the tower clock in the opposite building. So the mirror face of the opposite building, it shows that like 3:25. The reflection is 3:25. Then what would be the original time on the clock? So how do you deal with this kind of questions? Well, there are two ways of doing it. Either you can draw it on a paper, you can draw that 3:25 on the paper and you flip the paper, or you look at the paper from the back side. Then you see what exactly that time, that would be the reflected time and the original time. If you draw the reflected time, what you see from the back side, that's the original time. If you draw the original time, what you see from the back is reflected time. So this case, what is it? 3:25. That's, the question says this is the reflected time. So what is the original time? The best way, we have to subtract this from 12. The reason for that, it's a 12-hour clock. So rather than subtracting that, writing it 12 here, what I'm going to do, I'll write 1160. 1160 is what? 12. And you may ask you the question, why it is that? The reason for that, this is what happens. If you write 12 and you subtract 325 from that, 325, what you get is 5, 7, this is what? 8. So the answer what you get is 8:75. We don't have a time 8:75, we have only 60 minutes. So naturally the time is 9:15, but that is not the correct answer. The answer is wrong. So don't go for this approach. Instead of 12, what we do, 1160. So 1160 minus 325, what do you get? So 60 minus 25, that's 35. And well, 11 minus 3 is 8. So the original time is 8:35 and the reflected time is 3:25. So that's pretty simple. If reflected time is given, you need to subtract that reflected time from 1160. If original time is given, you need to subtract that original time from where? 1160. This case, the only situation when you have to be really careful is the given time is between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. For example, 12:34, that's a time on the clock. And if you need to find the reflected time, you need to subtract this 12:34 from where? 1160. 1160 minus 12:34, you will get a negative time. So time cannot be negative. So if the given time, it could be original or reflected time, doesn't matter. The given time is between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. So what you have to do is subtract from 24. 24 means 2360. So 2360 minus 1134. So what do you get? 60 minus 34, 60 minus 34, 26. And 23 minus 12, 11. So the answer is what? 1126. So the reflected time of 1234 is 1126. So that is how we find what if original time is given, what is the reflected time? Or if reflected time is given, what is the original time? So these are the major questions in clocks. Of course, we'll have a few more questions that is a bit more challenging than these questions. Of course, we'll take a look at those questions when we meet next time. Thanks for watching.